Welcome to the bright side of aging. My name is Ike Engelbaum. I'm a pharmacist and the publisher of the American Senior Gazette newspaper. And the reason I do this program is that I want to promote that age is a matter of the mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. It has also been said you cannot help getting older, but you can help getting old. My purpose also in doing this program is so that seniors and caregivers can share their ideas and questions on how we can age gracefully and in a vertical position for as long as our good genes will allow. And if we've inherited bad genes, how to outwit them. Our topics range from senior housing options, financial, legal, safety, travel, health issues, interesting senior events in the community, and above all, on how to put old on hold. As we age, one of the biggest issues we have is companionship as well as basic needs. Unfortunately, because of our society today, in both those areas, many people need help. That's why I was very excited about befriending a registered nurse by the name of Jacquelyn Smiertka, who owns the Quality of Life Daycare Center in Auburn Hills. A lot of folks are not aware that daycare centers are available to seniors either on a daily basis or on an as-needed type basis. And Jackie, because as a registered nurse and seeing that there is a tremendous need for that, decided to implement a program called Faith in Action, recruiting different denominations of churches and organizations, and as I understand it, even senior centers, or if you are interested to participate, we'll get into that. But first of all, I wanted to say hello to you. How are you, Jackie?
Very good, Ike.
Good.
Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. Actually, it's interesting with a name like Jackie. The first Jackie that comes to mind is Jackie Kennedy, and you have certain resemblance, facial features.
Thank you.
Which is not a bad...
Not quite the prestige.
I say, well, you will be. You know, as I joke about it, it's just a matter of time.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. First of all, why don't you give us some information about the whole concept of a senior daycare center?
Our daycare center actually is a quality of life medical model daycare center. It is actually a healthcare center where I can prefer myself to initially assess the senior as they come in to be able to kind of decide what kind of needs they have, whether it be physical therapy, occupational or speech therapy. All of them are done within the center, and they are all covered by Medicare. We see to that is. We also have an internist in the building. We can kind of watch to see how medications are, but that's one part that is to help primarily the caregiver. As much as we are very concerned about the client in the back, my concern also is the caregiver that is stressed out and has a very difficult time. But we try to work with both in that we will have the senior during the day and then allowing that caregiver to have respite also during the day or work. Many of them do work, the caregivers. So it's a medical model, but it's also a working model where we do put them back to work. They paint projects. The projects are done in like a factory type of a process, and they go out to charities and they're sold and money made for charities like Children's Miracle Network and the Heart Association, as well as the Breast Cancer Society foundations. So
now, am I safe in assuming that a senior adult daycare center like yours, and there are different daycare centers in different communities, are very much modeled like a child's daycare center? In other words, there's other people of their age and they interact and have different activities. Am I right?
Yes, yes. We do have singing. We have Tea for Tunes on Tuesday. We do have a lot of physical activity that goes on with the seniors, exercise and that type of thing. So yes, it would be on a similar structure. Except it's a little bit more medically modeled than the actual child daycare is.
That seems to be kicked around quite a bit in the medical community, medical model. In fact, some of the major hospitals are sort of revamping the whole structure, where unlike in the past you see a doctor and then he refers you to another specialty and you have to make arrangements to get there. This is all sort of as close as to be under one roof as is possible.
It's unfortunate there aren't enough medical model daycares out there because most of them are more social daycares. The medical model does allow us and does allow me to actually work with an outside geriatric physician to be able to find out if the medications that they're on now currently are not working well with that senior as the stages of Alzheimer's advances. So it's quite interesting.
I was just thinking that one of the issues as you age, you're obviously taking more and more medications,
Right.
and as a result, you probably are getting new side effects that because it comes on so slowly that you're not aware that, hey, this isn't really doing me more good, it's actually complicating things I've already had. So you as an outsider, quote unquote, since you observe them in their activities, probably can see things they themselves could not, which is really a valuable type of
We have actually seen a number of seniors that have come in that have been too over-medicated. We don't like to see them sleepy all the time because that sort of lessens the quality of life.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that I had one lady that came in, she was on excessive amount of medication and all she wanted to do was sleep and didn't really even know who her kids were. As she was taken off the medication with the assistance of the doctor, of course, she's one of our best clients and wins at bingo all of the time.
She doesn't cheat, does she?
No.
I don't know how you cheat at bingo, but there's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Right,
so.
right.
What about as far as the hours are concerned? How do you work that?
We start a little before 7 in the morning, which seems to be the appropriate hour of a lot of our seniors. We do have some that are from their caregivers are at Chrysler, which is just across the field from us. So we start before 7 and go as late as 5:30 at this point.
Right. Well, I'm very impressed the fact that you obviously are trying to be of help and be profitable in doing a daycare center, that you suddenly got this passion to start this Faith in Action. Tell us how that all started.
Well, first of all, daycares, I do not believe them to be profitable because if I went into it for the money, I would have gone into it for the wrong reason. It's not that kind of thing because you're trying to also help ease the pressure that is on the caregiver. So during the time in this past 5 years of realizing the financial stress that caregivers go through, that's when I was with the Oak 65 committee through Oakland University and the Silver Tsunami Oakland County, the Silver Tsunami, to be able to find out what the actual poverty rate in Oakland County actually is. Kind of surprising, in April of 2011, Tom Jankowski authored a study called the Invisible Poverty, and it was an amazing study which actually brought to my attention more so about the poverty that we knew was in the elderly in Oakland County alone. So that's when I knew about Faith in Action. That's all over the country in 600 cities, 600 communities or counties, and said we need it here in Oakland County, and started trying to get it in Oakland County starting 4 years ago. So it has been a struggle.
Yes, well,
yes, has created a lot of hyperventilation. I have paper bags in my office.
Well, you're a registered nurse,
yes, so I know it.
That's one of the perks of going in the healthcare field.
Right.
And basically, you are reaching out to any religious denomination. In fact, I was pleased to be at the meeting that was held just last night, And you had how many different faiths represented?
We had, it's actually my church in Commerce United Methodist Church, and they agreed to be able to have this multi-congregational meeting. It's our actual first meeting with Faith in Action. We had over nine exact congregations there, and a variety of faiths, or all different faiths there. And it was really amazing. I was very humbled by the experience. As I said in the beginning slide, one room, one faith, many faiths, many faiths for one purpose, and that's exactly what it was. It was amazing.
And I was really pleased to see how alert the audience was. You didn't see anybody dozing off.
No,
Each person had something to say. You could tell they were trying to say something.
Right.
And you are really covering the basic needs, are you not?
Yes.
Do you want to list some of the things?
The needs that Faith in Action will call for all faiths to be able to have volunteers, and the volunteers actually will go into the home. They will be insured volunteers. They will have been background searched. So those volunteers will go into the home as safe people to go in to help mom. Light housekeeping, light chores, various things that might need to be done around the house, light repairs. Driving mom will have a list of drivers that volunteer to take mom or dad to the doctor, because most of these people, you understand, are homebound. They may not have family around that can take them to the doctor or to the pharmacy, and that's the type of thing that we will be doing. Light chores, sometimes just someone calling and being the friendly voice on the phone to talk to mom, let her know ask her how things are doing, to go and sit and have lunch. Something simple, but it's company.
Right, well, I cannot stress the importance of companionship.
Right.
And when I give seminars, I have the ABCs of aging, and the C stands for connecting.
Right.
The sad part, as you age, you lose some of the closest friends that you grew up with and what have you. And the biggest mistake many seniors make is, because they've lost that friend, obviously that friend can never be replaced as was. At least try to find a new friend and communicate. And that's very close to my heart, is that a lot of people just assume, oh boy, I'm going to have to start driving around the city. I don't like to drive and that kind of thing. Just your appearance. So if anyone is interested, you do have a website, correct?
Yes, we do have a website. The thing that I can add about the loneliness issue is that the actual elder abuse, I believe, is on the rise, and I think that really stems a lot from the loneliness issue, that they're lonely. So anyone coming to the door, they may have in the house. So we are joining forces with the Elder Abuse Task Force in Oakland County to be able to work with this and be that safe person that goes into the home. So, and we have more on the website, which is still in construction, but it's got a number of things.
You have faith in your faith in action.
Yes, I have faith in action. Yes, we do, and it's faithinactionoakland.org.
Faithinactionoakland.org. So obviously, if you're in Oakland County, that's where you ought to check out.
That's where you need to check out.
And do you allow other congregations from joining up, or you're looking for more congregations?
I'm looking for congregations. It will be in every city. I can guarantee it. In Oakland County.
And coming from your lips to God's ears.
Yes, to God's ears. Absolutely.
Right now, I got to take a brief break. It's been a delight to have you on. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Prescription drug abuse is a national epidemic. The new in way to obtain drugs is through parents' or grandparents' medicine chests. Removing prescriptions from your cabinet is the best way to keep drugs out of the hands of our young people. We've got to work together to protect our teens, our seniors, and our environment. Clean out your medicine cabinet today. Please participate in Operation Medicine Cabinet and drop off your unwanted or expired prescriptions at one of our law enforcement drop-off sites in Oakland County. We can't ignore this situation anymore.
Welcome back, and as promised, our guest is a very prominent guest, because I don't fool around with non-prominent guests. Just thought I'd let you know that. Dr. Peter Lichtenberg, I've known you for probably about 15 years or so, and you are the chief honcho, or the main guy, at the Wayne State Institute of Gerontology, and if I started reading all your credentials, I wouldn't have any time to talk to you. So the primary goal today is, first of all, I know you put on different seminars and all. Before you get up in front of the microphone, what do they say about your background? What is your background?
Well, first of all, it's such a pleasure to be with you.
Thank
you for having me. You know, I trained as a clinical psychologist with a specialty in aging, and for the last 26 years of my career, the only 26 years I've been working on behalf of older adults and with older adults every single day. So I'm a geropsychologist, a geriatric neuropsychologist, which means that I do a lot of assessments, brain behavior relationships related to Alzheimer's disease, using paper and pencil tests and integrating with the rest of the medical team, healthcare team, so that we understand what are the strengths of a person, what are the weaknesses, what are some of the plans that we have to make for them going forward.
Now, you actually have published how many articles? I think I can't even keep track of that. A whole bunch of them.
A whole bunch. I think about 160 peer-reviewed articles, right. 6 or 7 books. So yeah, it's been very exciting to share some of the information that we've learned, you know, through these articles, and a lot of great colleagues that have helped me, of course, with all that.
And you're always actively involved in a lot of these programs, and you put on some phenomenal seminars, and you bring in some worldwide top-notch type speakers at these events.
We do. You know, it's been my great pleasure for the last 20 years to be the course director for the Issues in Aging Conference every May that we bring in down in Dearborn Inn. And we bring national level conference. First day is on Alzheimer's disease. The second day is on physical and mental health promotion. And then last year alone, we had over 100 seminars, and we trained over 6,500 professionals and about 2,500 older adults. So we're very committed. We recognize the Institute of Medicine's report in 2008, Retooling for an Aging America, said the workforce is not prepared. We're not going to have a bunch of specialists get prepared. Everybody has to expand their job and be able to work with older adults. That's part of our big mission.
That's a tremendous mission. Now, how does Wayne State tie in with the Wayne State Institute of Gerontology? Are you involved with the university, or is it a separate entity?
No, we are very much with the university. We were actually created in 1965 with U of M by the state of Michigan. And in 1986, both institutes separated and got folded into their university proper. So we just, as a matter of fact, are getting rechartered by the university this year, and we're going to be recommended for 6 years of rechartering. So we're very much in the university family and integrated throughout the campus.
Now, there are all kinds of issues out there, and I've had the privilege of having you speak to our Rotary and our Optimist clubs, and you're always well received. And you have the gift of taking a lot of these study results and make it sound like a normal human being can understand, which I really admire, because it's very easy, especially when you hear statistics. Yeah, so what? What do we do? And you've actually applied that. And unfortunately, I'm hearing more and more about the way that seniors are, frankly, being ripped off. What can you give as far as information about some of the financial scams that are going on out there?
Sure. You know, in an overview, psychological verbal abuse is the most common form of elder abuse. Financial abuse is second. As a matter of fact, each year, our older adults, 65 and over, in national surveys, about 5% are experiencing financial abuse, and 10% say they've been financially exploited since the age of 60. So it's a big deal, and it's on the increase. And one of the big areas, of course, is thefts and scams. And we hear a lot about scams, and those are really on the increase. We did the first national study of scams, and we did a longitudinal study. We looked at predictors in 2002 and how much they predicted scams in 2007. We used the Michigan's Health and Retirement Survey that U of M does nationally. What we found was that a couple of big predictors were psychological. psychological vulnerability, I'll call it. A combination of depression, loneliness, and the feeling that one's status has been diminished. Among that group, 14% experienced a scam compared to only 4% of the rest of the group. That's almost a 300% increased risk.
That's incredible, and I realize that it may be an unanswerable question, but I'll ask you anyway. Now that we have the statistics, are we any smarter in trying to avoid more of these, or are we just saying, hey, it's terrible and we got to do something? Is there something that can indeed be done?
I think it's a work in progress, and I'd love to tell you about the work that I'm doing to try to create a new financial decision-making rating scale. But in general, Ike, there are some real dangers to aging in place for our late octogenarians and people in their 90s. You know, they tend to get fairly isolated because they have to often give up driving, lose community mobility because we don't have the public transportation system. They may be, their friends and siblings are experiencing the same kinds of disabilities. And so that isolation really does start to work on people. Loneliness, depression, and like I said, this loss of status, this feeling that I'm not being treated with the same respect that other people are. These are things that really make our older adults vulnerable to getting scammed. And they're being targeted. And the more that is online these days, the more high-tech the scammers are about how they target older adults. But things that we are doing, you know, like in Oakland County, the SAVE Task Force on elder abuse. So there's getting to be more and more education out there. AARP does a great job of getting the word out too. It's just that we got to continue it because we have so many more older adults.
That's right.
And it goes across the socioeconomic spectrum. It may be that the person who is receiving a Social Security check only, and that's not living well in any sense, may be the only person in that household that's getting money regularly, and they are vulnerable to financial exploitation. Or it may be the 88-year-old woman who's starting to have dementia, and one of her siblings decides, I really need to get her to change the will so that I get 3/4 of the inheritance. That's happening too.
Right. All you hear about is government intervention is a slippery slope. But as a citizen, if anyone watching this program, and I, by the way, get calls because of the American Senior Gazette newspaper that they don't know who to call. They call me. They think a friend of theirs is being taken advantage of. Is there an organization as a friend that you can bring in, or is it really rigid that you cannot mix in someone else's private life?
I don't know that there's any organization that can actually go in and do an intervention without permission of the older adult. But there are definitely places, the area agencies on aging, adult protective services, maybe even the banks, that are interested in safeguarding the older adult's assets. And so with the older adult's permission, you can certainly have these conversations and hopefully, you know, help them avoid this slippery slope. One tip though for adult children, because adult children tend to do one thing very badly, on the whole. Many do it great. But what they notice at the first sign of trouble, some kind of conflict, mom writes a bad check, there's a bill that doesn't get paid, they rush in to take over everything. And older adults often respond incredibly negatively to that. You cannot just come in and strip an older adult's autonomy. You can't do it, and you got to be very careful. You got to have these difficult conversations where you actually start to have a learning conversation between the two of you. Right.
Well, you know, I heard a bit of philosophy in regards to certain problems that we're so brainwashed in our country that, oh, we got a problem, we give it a deadline in 3 months, we're going to get it done. And we're so used to having such a targeted way of trying to solve a problem, that instead of looking at that every problem has a solution, I was advised, and I think it's good advice, is many times there may not be a total solution, but there's a way of dealing with it. And the chemistry, let's face it, in every family is different.
Right.
There's some parents, I was fortunate that my mother was the opposite. She gave up driving on her own. And she was, quite frankly, sort of a taxi driver for a lot of her friends, but she realized that, hey, I cannot really take the responsibility, because she was getting bumps along the way, nothing serious, because she drove so slowly.
Right.
So if you've got that kind of a chemistry, that's one issue where the person gives up. But what you just said is really such a simple, brilliant idea. That is, don't strip everything away. Take it, as they say, one bite at a time, and you have to make sure that you set up the right chemistry between them many times. And this is just an observation from the side, is that the relatives are the worst people to get that person done. A friend
Right.
that can get along with your mother or father
Right.
would probably be better away. I philosophize quite a bit as I age, and one of the things that you learn when you're young is, never tell a lie, okay? I hate to say this on a program, but there comes a time in life that stretching the truth does not mean that you have to lie, but if you say, if you can't tell your parent up front that, hey, you're bouncing checks all over the place, you could say something to the effect, the bank manager was concerned about it, why don't we go down there, see how we can resolve it?
Right, and I think, you're exactly right. Some opening line conversations, such as, boy, Mom, I've been reading about the rampant increase in financial exploitation, and I'm getting worried about that. Can we think about how we might safeguard against that?
There's a great tip. Actually, bringing in study, or even Dr. Peter Lichtenberg's study. No, Dr. Peter Lichtenberg, you could be sort of...
Have my permission. Go ahead and quote it in the household.
Okay, you could be the fall guy, okay? It's him, it said.
Absolutely. I've been that many times.
I trust. You're a married guy. I understand that. Well, listen, it's been a delight. We'll have you on the air again, and unfortunately, we've plumb run out of time, and I only have enough time for my parting thought, which is, remember, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift, and that's why we call it the present. Please enjoy your present by looking at the bright side of aging.